If you're like 73% of Americans who've repeatedly failed at saving money, here's the brutal truth. It's not because you lack willpower. It's because you're fighting against your own brain's hardwired psychology. But what if I told you that the same psychological tricks that make you spend can actually force you to save? Here are 6 scientifically proven strategies that work with your brain instead of against it to help you save $10,000 effortlessly and faster than you ever thought possible. The first strategy is what I call a future self-sabotage system. I remember back in college, I was completely obsessed with buying the latest tech gadgets. I would blow through my entire paycheck from my campus tutoring job on things like wireless earbuds, phone cases, and laptop accessories that I absolutely convinced myself I needed. For months, I couldn't figure out how to break this cycle of impulse buying that was keeping me broke. But then I discovered this fascinating research about something called commitment devices that says if you want to prevent your future self from making bad decisions, your present self needs to create intelligent traps. The breakthrough moment came when I was trying to stop my habit of ordering expensive takeout every night. Instead of relying on willpower, I decided to get creative. I took all my food delivery apps and logged out of every single one, then changed all my passwords to something ridiculously complicated and gave a new password to my roommate with strict instructions not to give them back unless I could prove I cooked a meal at home first. The next time I was craving Thai food at 9 p.m. and feeling too lazy to cook, something amazing happened. The thought of having to wake up my roommate, admit I was being lazy, and beg for my passwords created just enough friction that I actually went to the kitchen and made myself a sandwich instead. That's when it clicked. You need a commitment device to save money. Here's exactly how to do it. Number 1, if you're spending more money than you need to add internal friction to the process. For example, I've seen people put their credit cards in a safe with a time lock that only opens once per day, forcing them to wait and really think about whether they want to make a purchase. Or this woman I know who deleted all her shopping apps and bookmarks. So every time she wants to buy something online, she has to manually type in the website address, find the item again, and re-enter all her payment information. I know these might sound extreme, but sometimes extreme problems require extreme solutions. Number 2, you also want to add external friction by involving other people. The way I do this now is I have what I call a spending accountability partner. Before I make any purchase over $150, I have to text my friend Sarah a photo of the item and explain why I need it. She has permission to ask me tough questions like, "Don't you already have something similar?" Or "Is this really worth working an extra day for?" The key is making it socially awkward to spend money impulsively. The harder it is for you to buy something, the less likely you are to actually buy it on impulse. And speaking of strategies that might seem too simple to work, there are actually 4 secret numbers that determine whether you'll be wealthy or broke for the rest of your life. Most people don't even know these exist, but I'll reveal exactly what they are later in this video. If you're already getting value from this, smash that like button to help more people discover these money-saving strategies. The second strategy is implementing what I call the dopamine delay tactic. This is based on fascinating research about how our brains actually experience pleasure. Most people think the joy of buying something comes from actually owning it, but neuroscientists have discovered that the biggest dopamine hit actually comes from anticipating the purchase, not from having the item itself. Think about it. Every time you buy something you've wanted for a while, like a new phone or a piece of furniture, you get incredibly excited about it for the first week or 2, then you completely forget about it and go back to your normal happiness level. You're not crazy, and you're not alone. Studies show the average person spends over $5,400 per year on impulse purchases, and more than half of those purchases are regretted within a month. The best way to get that dopamine hit without actually spending money is to hack your brain's anticipation system. The method I use is called the 30-day desire list, and here's exactly how it works. The next time you see something you really want to buy, don't tell yourself you can't have it. Instead, open your phone and create a note called Things I'll Buy Later and write down that item with today's date. Your brain will actually release dopamine and make you feel good because you're planning to get the thing, even though you haven't spent any money yet. Then you force yourself to wait exactly 30 days before you're allowed to buy that item. If after 30 days you still want it and can afford it, then go ahead and get it. But what happens about 90% of the time is that after 2 weeks on the list, you realize you don't actually want the thing anymore, and it was just a temporary impulse. The third strategy is doing quarterly money cleanups, which is how I discovered I was accidentally paying $47 per month for a software subscription I thought I had already canceled. This happens more often than you'd think. I had signed up for this productivity app during a particularly stressful semester to help organize my assignments and deadlines. Used it for about 2 months, then switched to a free alternative that worked just as well. I thought I had canceled the subscription when I stopped using it, but apparently I had only deleted the app from my phone, not actually canceled the billing. The charges were going to my student credit card that I rarely checked because I mostly used it for textbooks. When I finally caught it during one of my quarterly reviews, I had already paid over $650 for an app one hadn't opened in 14 months. The worst part? When I called to cancel, the customer service rep tried to convince me to keep it by offering me 3 months free if I stayed subscribed. This experience taught me that subscription companies are literally banking on you forgetting about their services. A 2023 study found that people estimate they spend about $79 per month on subscriptions. But when researchers looked at their actual spending, the average was $273 per month. That's a $194 monthly blind spot that adds up to over $2,300 per year. Here's how to do a proper quarterly money cleanup. Every 3 months, download your bank and credit card statements into a spreadsheet. Use the search function to find recurring charges by looking for the same company name or amount appearing multiple times. Highlight every subscription, membership, and automatic payment you find. Go through each one and ask yourself, have I used this service in the past 30 days? If the answer is no, cancel it immediately. For subscriptions you do use but forgot were so expensive, see if you can downgrade to a cheaper plan or find a better alternative. Call your bank and ask them to waive any fees you've been charged. They'll often do this just for asking nicely. If this quarterly cleanup idea is already saving you money in your head, drop a comment below telling me which subscription you're going to cancel first. The fourth strategy is implementing the one-in, one-out rule. Sometimes you genuinely do need to buy something new, like when something breaks or when your life situation changes. Last spring, I needed a new laptop because my old one from college finally died after 6 years of heavy use. I went to Best Buy and found a decent laptop for $800, but when I got home and tried to set it up, I realized it was painfully slow and the screen quality was terrible. A few weeks later, I was browsing Facebook Marketplace and found someone selling a barely used MacBook Pro for $450. It was only 2 years old, in perfect condition, and came with all the original packaging. The person was moving overseas and needed to sell it quickly. Not only did I save $350, but I got a much better computer that will probably last me another 5 years. The point is, when you absolutely need to buy something, the smartest approach is to follow the one-in, one-out rule. Here's how you do it step by step. First, only buy something new if you're genuinely replacing something that's broken, too small, or completely worn out. Second, always check the secondhand market first, because used items are often better quality and significantly cheaper than new ones. If you can't find what you need secondhand, then it's fine to buy new. Third, and this is the part most people skip, once you get the replacement item, the old one has to leave your house immediately. If I buy a new shirt, I donate an old one the same day. If I upgrade my phone, I sell the old one within a week. The goal is to maintain a constant number of possessions instead of constantly accumulating more stuff. Also, here's a reality check. If you manage to live without something up until now and you're trying to save money, that's usually a strong sign that you don't actually need it. Most needs are actually just wants in disguise. Now, remember those 4 secret numbers I mentioned earlier? Here's the strategy that will completely transform how you think about money, creating what I call a financial reality map. From what I've observed, most people struggle to save money because they don't know 4 critical numbers that determine their entire financial future. I call these the 4 pillars, and once you know them, managing money becomes dramatically easier. The first pillar is your power number. This is your actual take-home pay after taxes, insurance, and retirement contributions. Let's say for this example, it's $4,000 per month. The second pillar is your survival number. This covers housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, and other absolute necessities. Let's say that's $2,200 per month. The third pillar is your lifestyle number. This includes dining out, entertainment, hobbies, shopping, and anything that makes life enjoyable but isn't strictly necessary. In our example, let's say that's $1,000 per month. The fourth pillar is your future number. This is money going towards savings, investments, and building long-term wealth. In this example, that would be $800 per month. Once you map out these four numbers, you can calculate your financial freedom score by dividing your future number by your power number. In this case, it would be $800 divided by $4,000, which equals 0.2 or 20%. This score tells you exactly how quickly you're building wealth and whether you're on track for financial independence. To create your own financial reality map, you can use a simple spreadsheet or even just a piece of paper. The key is being brutally honest about where every dollar goes and then optimizing the allocation based on your goals. The fifth strategy is setting up an automated money system. Something I've learned over the years about managing money is that even when you know exactly what you should do, you can still mess everything up because of human psychology. I only realized this when I tried to stick to a workout routine as an adult. You'll notice a pattern here where I keep trying to build good habits and then failing spectacularly. I would start each week with perfect intentions to hit the gym 5 times, but after a stressful day at work, all my motivation would just evaporate the moment I got home. I couldn't understand why I kept failing until I read this study that showed our brains make over 35,000 decisions every single day, and each decision depletes our mental energy. By evening, our brains are completely exhausted, making it much easier to give in to whatever feels good in the moment. This insight changed everything when I applied it to my money management. Instead of trying to manually decide how much to save each month, I set up a system where the decisions are made automatically before I even see the money. Here's exactly how my system works. The moment my paycheck hits my main account, it automatically splits into different buckets without any input from me. 22% goes straight to my retirement accounts before I can even think about it. 15% flows into my emergency fund. 10% goes to what I call my opportunity fund for investments or side business ideas. All my fixed expenses like rent, utilities, and insurance are automatically paid from a separate checking account. What's left over is my life happens, money for groceries, gas, entertainment, and everything else. The beauty of this system is that I never have to make the painful choice between saving money and enjoying life, because past me already made that decision when I was thinking clearly and rationally. It's like having a financial advisor who never gets tired, never makes emotional decisions, and never forgets to pay himself first. I've been using this automated system for 3 years now, and I've saved more money during this period than I did in the previous 8 years combined. The crazy part is that it doesn't feel like I'm sacrificing anything because the money disappears before I get attached to it. If you're serious about saving money, you cannot rely on willpower and motivation alone. You need systems that work even when you don't feel like it. The sixth and final strategy is called habit linking. And I figured this out when I realized how impossible it is to consistently do new things that aren't already part of your routine. Trying to force yourself to manually check your spending every day is like trying to remember to breathe. It requires constant mental effort, and you'll eventually forget. Instead, I started linking money habits to things I already do automatically every single day. These are what I call zombie habits, things you can literally do while half asleep, like brushing your teeth or starting your car. Since I check my phone within minutes of waking up every morning, I linked my spending review to this existing habit. Now, every morning while I'm still in bed, I spend 30 seconds scrolling through yesterday's transactions on my banking app. It's become so automatic that I do it without even thinking about it. This tiny habit has given me more awareness of my spending patterns than any budgeting system ever did. The key to successful habit linking is identifying your most consistent daily routines and then attaching small money-related actions to them. Tomorrow, I want you to write down everything you do every single day without fail, then pick one simple financial habit to link to each routine. For example, Every time you brush your teeth at night, check your account balance. Every time you start your car, think about one expense you could cut this month. Your brain loves predictable patterns, so the easiest way to build new habits is to attach them to patterns that already exist. The goal isn't to overhaul your entire life overnight. It's to make small, consistent improvements that compound over time. And if you're ready to transform your financial life, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because I share new money strategies every week that could literally change your bank account balance.